Hey everybody, it's Barbara here, and I want to have a serious conversation. It was really brought to my attention today. I was reading and I posted on somebody's post who talked about being a stay-at-home mom, which is a luxury in today's society. And I think it is so valuable to our children and our next generation. And they outlined how much everything that the mother did during the day added up to, and the savings that added up to about $85,000 a year. And it brought me back to many years ago how I found the network marketing industry. And I have to tell you that my former husband was an a business professor. He had his PhD, his CPA, his MBA, and he was a college professor in the graduate school of business. And I come from a family owned corporate business in aviation, a global business in Miami that my dad had since I was a little girl. So I grew up in a corporate family business, the the B quadrant, if you're familiar. Anyway, um, I helped build his career. So I got married young. I always thought I would have a big corporate career and maybe get married at 30 or something, but I didn't. I got married young and I helped to build my former husband's career. I moved every 2 to 3 years to support his career as he went back to school for a PhD, as we moved from college to college, going up in the ranks until tenure time. And then the clock was ticking. But I'd always noticed that I was giving up my performance and my career of growth. And so I felt very vulnerable. And I've always felt from a young girl that I always needed to provide for myself. I always needed to make sure that I had an income, that I had a resume, that I was able to be employable. Because as a woman, I think that's a very vulnerable position to be in. And so I was very aware of that. So I didn't get my master's degree. I was a teacher education, and actually you were penalized. So I know I needed to move at the drop of a hat for the next venture that he would and goal he would want to achieve. And that's part of my story. All his goals, never my goals. Anyway, and so I didn't get my master's because I would be penalized. Somebody else would get hired, new out of school, that they didn't have to pay so much. They didn't want to pay for experience, didn't want to pay for extra education. So I was aware of that. And later on, when I finally, it was the clock was ticking, it's like, okay, we're settled here. We're back in Florida, and here's a position that wants to be a long term position. And now it's time to have children if we're going to have any. And so I found network marketing. And at that time, I was with a skincare company. It was always about health. They were one of the first companies that didn't have sulfates, phthalates, all that was the talk. And you couldn't find those off the shelf. And so I jumped in because I wanted something flexible. As I said, I waited 11 years to have children. So I wanted to be the stay at home mom. But I'm also an interested person. I can clean and I can do all those things, but I also am a seeker and I need stimulation. I need to learn new things. I always want to be expanding. And I volunteered at the school and I did all those things, but I also needed something for me and something that I could build and have and be of support to other women. And health was always important to me. So even though it was a skincare company, it was based on European principles, and we didn't have healthy products in the marketplace at that time. So health was a huge thing. And so I welcomed the business model. When I looked at it, I thought it's like a no-brainer. This is so there's so many positives and very few negatives. The negative is there's not much money to get involved. So it has a low entry point. So how much time and energy or seriousness do people put on this business model, even though it's taught in Harvard and business schools? And you may not know this because you grow up in a time where franchises are very acceptable. But there was a day when franchises were frowned upon. They thought that was poor business. It was like, whoa, you would be a franchise? You're going to have a franchise? And you know what? I just saw some statistics about the wealthiest people in Florida. And one of them is the family that started Subway. They are not about the food. They are about the real estate and the licensing. And I just heard a story from one of my mentors who got into a franchise, even though her and her husband both had full-time demanding jobs. They decided to add to their portfolio and start a franchise. And it was a restaurant that's not in their area. And so they did. What, um, I mean, it sucks the life out of you. This family had five children and two corporate jobs, and if an employee doesn't come up, I mean, it all rests on your shoulders. All of it, the branding, the customer satisfaction, the scheduling of the employees, the paying of the employees. They weren't getting paid. They were building this for the future, but little did they know that COVID came, and that even the franchise um, food distributor, you had to go through their food distributors, and they were not going to service their area because they were starting that restaurant there were not a lot of them in their area, and that was a draw to them. And to this day they're still paying franchise fees. They mortgaged their house to make that investment. And here we're starting to talk about this as micro franchising because you're in business by yourself, but I mean, for yourself, but not by yourself. It's up to you how much you want to do. Somebody that you bring into the business might have better skills than you, or better connections, or just get lucky and find some other people that want to be able to grow their business. And we like to say, build the well before you need it, because you can fall back on something. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. These are very vulnerable times. We all talk about AI, but so much is happening that jobs can be lost. And people are suffering with all of the inflation, the oil prices, that hasn't even hit to the magnitude yet. So I implore upon you to think out of the box, to make that effort to do something else on the side. Stop watching TV. Stop getting sucked into scrolling and mindless activities. And that happens when we're in trauma. That happens when we're in anxiety. That happens when we're in uncertainty. It's easy to lose time, but make that time count for you. And I know when I started looking at the business, it was very important to have unique consumable products because people are going to stay on them. And you have a monthly, like a gym membership, it's a monthly um, purchase. And you want something that's different than everybody else. I did not want Me Too products. With both companies I have been involved with, they were pioneers. Is it easy being a pioneer? No, it's not, because it's a lot of education, and I am an educator by heart. I always have a little bit of education going on. And that is the purpose. I view myself as an educator, and I feel a stewardship to bring this to market. The other thing is, we don't want to get sick now. How is our healthcare system? Maybe you don't even have healthcare. I mean, we are such a wealthy nation, and an educated nation. And out of the countries in the world, everyone isn't guaranteed a health plan, or health options. So you want to stay healthy, and right now it's really challenging staying healthy, more so than when I started into my health business. Our foods are depleted of nutrients. The processed foods, we have so many carcinogens and chemicals in our foods that other countries refuse to put in their food, and they refuse to buy the food from us that have those ingredients in them. So we're getting sicker and sicker as we age, and the sicknesses are coming down to earlier ages, heart attacks at younger ages, stroke at younger ages, diabetes in children is rampant. It's a real serious problem. It is easier to stay healthy, to keep your cells healthy, than try to fix them. And the other thing is, the products that I'm with, it even reverses aging. When I tell people my age, I'd say in the last 2 weeks, I've had 10 people that the conversation came up about age. And so I admitted my age, and every single time their jaw dropped. And I'm not on any prescription drugs. Am I having aches and pains and different things happening? Yeah, I am. And I'm not happy about it. However, my body is in optimal. health in many, many areas because I have been on products that activate my body. And so I'm going to go back again to regress. I wanted to be with a publicly traded company. If you're with a private company, then they can close the doors on you. And I have stories about that. And even look at the gyms. Look at gyms that have closed their door. Look at bridal shops that have closed their door. I mean, everyone lumps network marketing companies as if they're all the same, and they're not. Just like other corporations are not the same. Every gym is not the same. Every bridal store is not the same. Every grocery store is not the same. So you need to look at that. So publicly traded, no debt. Global, you have other countries. Look at what happens when a disaster happens. If you are local, have a local business, you're tanked, you know? But if you are national and you have other states that are okay and you have business in those states or business in those other countries, you are, you're diversified. You're lessening your risk. And I cannot tell you how important it is to have something going in your favor. And I always tell people, being unemployed in this day and age, it's really difficult when you're reading out resumes. It's like a black hole. Right? Ghosted. You don't know where you are in the process. Years ago, your resume spoke for itself. You could have a follow-up call. You could, look at the process. Now it's a search engine optimization, and you just send these things out, hoping and praying, and you have no idea where you stand in regard to your competition, if your resume even landed on somebody's desk. They're inundated with thousands and thousands. Where are those opportunities? Even influencers, they're coming to our business model and our company even because there's so much more security, and they are just chasing and running like in a hamster wheel. And the 40-40, 40 hours a week for 40 years, how is that working for people? How is a college degree? I just heard that people graduating from high school are making more money than recent graduates from college. With all that debt, we've been taught we have to think out of the box. And as I mentioned, uh, looking at things being very depressing if you're looking for a position, that is so difficult. At least I tell people you have something that you are building. So maybe half your day you're looking for a job, the other half you are building something for yourself and your family. Uh-oh, sorry. I have to fix this. And maybe it's some money for your gas. Maybe it's putting some food on the table for yourself and your family. It's giving you something. You have to have a positive um, attitude. And if you're just searching and in despair, you can't even get that job because your attitude and your feelings and emotions get in the way of being able to effectively interview and position yourself. Another point of view, I'm sorry this is going so long, was it hit me again when I was employed and I was running my business on the side. I've always had something else on the side. Oh, taxes. Let's talk about taxes. Having some write offs for yourself. That's a huge benefit of this business model and being self employed. But started seeing age discrimination. And you can say, oh, it's against the law, it's against the law. Guess what? It happens every day. And I even look young for my age. And I started seeing the prejudice and the discrimination. And I thought even more clearly, you have to have something else, cannot just rely on one income stream that is coming from a corporate source and you think that you are secure. Look at poor TSA agents. This is the second time they've gone without pay. Do you think they feel secure now? Do you think we're going to have TSA agents? You know, um, it's a real problem. So you need to watch out for yourself. And I want to tell you that network marketing and affiliate marketing is one of the biggest and best business models that I have seen for security. But it's up to you. And many people are not leaders. Many people are employee mentality. You have to have the mentality of applying yourself. I mean, I'm up early in the morning. I have to be in different time zones. I'm on Zooms at night. I work during the weekend, but I take pockets of time when I can, and I have better options. Let's say the Winter Park Art Festival is one of my favorite things to do, and I don't miss it every year. And I get to go on Friday before the crowds, and I get to choose that. I don't have to ask somebody's permission. I just schedule my time with my clients and my marketing and the business that I want to do. So, what's if your child is sick? What's if your parent is sick? Gives you options. You can run your whole business on your phone and be taking care of people and serving them because I've always wanted to do something that makes an impact. That's something that changes people's lives. And I'm able to do that all the time. I am so sorry. Thank you so much. And really, please take this to heart. These are hard times. Prepare yourself now. And I'd love to share what I do. But my point today is this: don't poo-poo this business model, but look for a great company. And we've closed the closing bell on Wall Street twice. Aaron Brockovich has been on our board of directors. People are coming to our company because of the integrity, values, and the products that we have that are unique. And Big Pharma is trying to copy us. We have patents. And you know what? Go for it. What do you have to lose? Your health? You really, there's no downside other than you have to be a little vulnerable and you have to make an effort and take action. All right? I hope I gave you a pep talk. Please look out for yourself. These are changing times more than any other time that I have lived.